Back with us on the SportsMax Zone. The Reggae Boyz will battle Morocco in their opening game of a 3-team mini tournament in the Austrian capital Vienna on August 23. Jamaica and Morocco will be joined by World Cup hosts Qatar after the fourth team, Ghana, withdrew. No explanation has been forthcoming for that withdrawal. Now, Jamaica will face Qatar 3 days after the Morocco clash. That's on August 26. This is the Jamaica squad. Kamara Foster from Waterhouse, Amal Knight, Eric Edwards. Those are the three goalkeepers. Colorado Murray, Trayvon Reed, Ricardo Thomas, Kimani Campbell, Richard King, Donardo Thomas, Demario Phillips, Fabian McCarthy, Nicole Christian, Ramon Howell, Ronaldo Webster, Jordan Fisher, he's based overseas. Howell, Malik, based overseas as well. Earl Simpson from Arnett Gardens gets in. O'Dane Penico from Tivoli. Then two players from Mount Pleasant, Tariq Zimenez and Alwyn Harvey. Adrian Mariappa plays in Australia for MacArthur FC. Damani Osai from Santa Clara Broncos. Shamari Dyer, Harbourview. Okasa Chung from Edgeburg. Venton Evans for Greenville Triumph. Giovanni Brown. And another Harbourview player, Nicholas Hamilton. So Dunbeholden, Harbourview having very strong representation. Dunbeholden going to the final along with Harbourview in the Jamaica Premier League, and a couple of Mount Pleasant players there along with a few from Cavalier and Waterhouse. Before the tournament, there were concerns though about the availability and readiness of some of the players in the squad. Assistant coach Miron Gordon, who is taking charge of the team on this Austrian trip, he held court at a press conference earlier today.
There was our second training session since we arrived here. Yesterday the guys started a bit slowly because, the traveling, the time zone, everything, was kind of made an impact on the boys. But this morning it was much, much better. I think the boys, they look really sharp. They were looking forward to play tomorrow, but such is life. Tomorrow we just go back to the training field and work again to prepare for the Morocco game.
That's Miron Gordon. Concerns were also raised about the coaching situation, one which Gordon says he is not focusing on at the moment.
I'm the assistant coach. I will remain in that position. I want to continue to grow and learn. That in the future, if and when this is put on, in front of me, I can grab it with both hands. But for now, I'm just concentrating on this tournament, to try and get these local boys and give them, great opportunity to come and make the senior team.
That's Miron Gordon, almost as if he had the answer to that question scripted, ready for it. And he gave a good answer, an answer that a poker player would have been proud of, sitting at the craps table in Las Vegas. Before we discuss the issue of the coaching, which I'm sure the team has something to say, some things to say about, let's look back at the squad, look at the players picked, a heavily local-based squad, a couple of players who are not in Jamaica. So the foreigners would be the Exeter man, Giovanni Brown, Venton Evans from Greenville, Okasa Chung from Edgeburg, Osai from Santa Clara, Mariappa from MacArthur, Malik Howell from the University of Memphis, and Jordan Fletcher, who's at Gokulam, Kerala. The rest of the squad is local-based, and the top clubs from the recent Jamaica Premier League well represented, especially Dunbeholden and Waterhouse. Lance, you'd have seen a lot of these players over the bulk of the Jamaica Premier League. Are these players worthy of their selection, you'd say?
Yes, I would think so. For the most part, a lot of the players that we're seeing on that roster are players who stood out in the Premier League, in the Jamaica Premier League, which was a good season, by the way. So much better than the post-COVID season, the first season back from COVID last year. A lot of exciting football, good quality football, and I would say pretty much they have earned their spots on this national level.
Yeah. Mariah, the issue of coaching comes up. The second question that we played the answer to, well, the second question that we took from the press conference, Miron Gordon responding to the question about the head coaching situation with Paul Hall not available to travel with the team and him taking charge.
Yeah, George, I find it, a bit strange in the response that we got, and I'm just, alluding to the point that you made, as if, the answers were rehearsed. We have to remember that this is a Jamaican national team that we're talking about. It's a team that, has had its ups and downs, and the last thing that we want, and I mean, we did get an explanation, but sometimes an explanation is not enough. If we're trying to build a team that can compete at the World Cup, that can compete at the highest level, I would say that you would definitely need your coach to be with the team at all time and, of course, display consistency himself. So I know our coach had to step away for some time. We heard from assistant coach Miron Gordon that he's just the assistant coach and he wants to get the guys over the line and whatnot. But I still feel, you know, you always feel safer when you have your full squad at hand and when you have your full coaching staff at hand.
Lance, there are several plausible reasons for Paul Hall's absence. You know that some people would debate this issue and say, well, it doesn't matter what the reason is, Paul Hall should be with the team, which of course is rubbish, yeah? So there are several plausible reasons. But at the same time, it does seem, I don't want to say it's irregular, but for me, it's out of sync. It's a tad untidy for the titular head coach of a struggling team to not be there when local-based players who he would not have invited to previous squads before in the main now have the chance to train under his watch and play 2 good games against 2 good teams under his watch, and he's not there to run the rule directly over them. It does look rather untidy, and it's not a situation that I think a team like ours should be enduring at this time.
Yeah, and one of the things that we've got to consider as well is that there was this underlying report about negotiations regarding a long-term contract for Paul Hall with the Jamaica Football Federation, and you have to wonder if that played any part at all in him not being available for this assignment. You mentioned the fact that a lot of these players are locally based, and the fact that many of these players, I would suspect maybe 90% of them, won't make the grade when they start to play serious international football. So there could be a school of thought that, you know, since this is sort of a third string Jamaica team, which is not the team that will go into high level competition, maybe the assistant coach could take that job. But you are right from the standpoint of trying to integrate some of these fringe players into the national setup, first-hand interaction with them and being the coach with them, I would think would be a key move for the head coach. But, you know, you see even Giovanni Brown, the Exeter player, that's the 3rd tier in English football, which is League One. For the most part, you're going to tackle international level football, competitive football, and you want players who are accustomed to playing at the highest level available to you. And certainly the Jamaica Premier League doesn't afford that or offer that. Neither does League One in England. So this bunch is a bunch, to me, that is trying to put their hands up to gain some attention from the coaching staff as far as the future is concerned.
But all right, so if we go by the narrative that, you know, this is a C team, so assistant coach can take that, how then would people then be upset at a player who believes he's top class not answering the call for certain competitions, not answering the call for a Nations League game away to Barbados or away to Curacao because the opponents are C-team opponents or the competition is a C-team competition, so they're not going. So that's the risk you run. Also, let me tell you this. I feel strongly about this because the players that are called in this squad, I would rather lose with these players than with some of what I see. Let's talk truth. Leon Bailey is an untouchable. He's here, so he gets into any Jamaica squad, walks into any Jamaica starting 11, no argument. The Ravel Morrison joins him. Damian Lowe gets into my defense. Antonio. Yes. Antonio, if he if he feels it's worth his time, because the point Lance made was a natural progression into how perhaps Michael Antonio and his handlers see some of the Jamaica assignments. You know, no, I don't want to play that competition, don't want to play that team. Okay, I'll play here. So Leon, Ravel, Damian Lowe, Michael, if he fancies it, they're there. I want anybody to talk about any of the foreign players that we've used from the start of the failed World Cup campaign through to the end. Yeah, and the Nations League games that we've played under Paul Hall. The foreign players that we've used. I don't want to talk about who is better than who. I want to talk about who has performed better than who, which is a difference. And you tell me the foreign players that have performed so well that the Jamaican local-based players who we've called up here should automatically be discarded and these foreigners be recalled.
Well, there was huge disappointment in the output of a lot of the foreign-based players or foreign-born players. And I see where you're going, George, because it's a good point. a lot of the sentiment coming from local football fans would be that they expect that if some of these local-based players who are not as elite as the Mikel Antonios of this world, they think they have more heart and commitment to the Jamaican cause than some of these players. And, you know, this is an opportunity for some of them to show that and show the quality that they have, because the teams they're facing are World Cup teams. Morocco, Qatar, teams that are playing in the World Cup. Qatar, of course, are hosts. And the Moroccans, who the Jamaicans play on Saturday, will be in Group F with Belgium, Canada, and Croatia. So this is the big league for them. I sympathize with the assignment that they have here, because in my estimation, this bunch isn't qualified to properly challenge the Moroccos and Qatars of this world. So I hope they show fight and grit and play competitively here. But, you know, the expectation is that they'll struggle.
I'd rather struggle with most of the guys here and add the foreigners who I talked about who are elite to the list and work from there, rather than some of these foreign-based players that you really carry. I'm not going to say that players are rubbish, because it's to blight the national program, but I'm just saying a lot of the overseas-based players that are expected to take the places of these guys for the serious games haven't performed better than them. They haven't.
All right, team. Break time.